people's, most people's story actually begins at a point where the place they're in, they can no longer continue living their life like they are. The pain of living the way they are has gotten so great, they cannot do it anymore. That's the point they usually say, no, I am going to change. I cannot do this anymore, or it's unacceptable. A lot of times you have to reach that pain point before you're going to actually be ready to make a change. The thing is sooner or later, everybody's going to get there. My advice to you is if you're thinking about do it before it gets that painful. Start a little bit sooner. So my change actually started in 2002. And the reason I'm saying that it may not be really the starting point, but it was the point when I was sitting in an orthopedic's office. He had, I had in my hand a little brown vial with pieces of my thigh bone in it. And I had gotten to the point my right knee was locking up when I walked. I couldn't even bend it. And what had happened is the end of my thigh bone, a bunch of it fell out. And the little chips were floating around in my kneecap, and they would catch and lock my knee up. So eventually they would float, and my knee would move again. So what he did is he took the bone chips out, and he routed out the hole, because it was in a non-weight bearing part. And I'm sitting there at the desk, and he says, because of all of the steroids you have taken throughout your life up to this point, this is going to happen to you again. He said, you can guarantee it's going to be your hips, your knees, your ankles. He said, every weight-bearing joint you have is going to start disintegrating, just like that thigh bone did, because of the amount of steroids you've taken. That was my pain point. That's when I said, no, this will not happen to me. I can't do this anymore. So things started to change. But to understand how I got to that point, we're going to go back, and you can't see that really well, but that's me, December 1991, when I was first diagnosed with MS. So when I was first diagnosed, I was not very big, as you can see. Julie's first question is, where'd your boobs go? Okay, at 124, they weren't this big. Sorry. I was fatigued. I was tired all the time. My hands were tingling. I was working full time. I had 4 kids at home. The oldest one was a sophomore. And we were busy. And we were just doing all of this stuff. And they told me I was tired. So it wasn't until we went to Kamiah hunting. And I went blind in my left eye. And now I was supposed to be starting college that January to be an RN. I knew when we came back I had to take my ASSET test to be accepted to college. Well, then we still really didn't know what was going on. So I took my ASSET test, blind in one eye. I passed, had my book started, I had college ready to go. And they sent me to Pacific Cataract and Laser. Well, they said, you have optical neuritis. They sent me for an MRI. The MRI showed 7 lesions in my brain, 3 of which I could see on the x-ray. Had one right here, the size of a golf ball. I had one sitting on each one of my optical nerves, and the other 4 I couldn't see, but they were there. That began a very rigorous treatment of prednisone, steroids. I went on Solu-Medrol IV. I did that 5 days at a time. My husband got very, very good at hooking up. The busy nurses would finally come. They would actually start the IV. They get it in. They would leave the bags and everything. He could flush it. He could hook the IVs up. He could watch the stuff drip down. And I call Solu-Medrol is prednisone on steroids. It's really, really rough stuff. But because my first original diagnosis was progressive, 5 years wheelchair. That's where they started at. It was kind of a rough period of time for me.
Debbie,
So,
how old were you at that time?
32. I was 32. This is me, 2 years, 1 month later, and 60 pounds heavier. Point I realized I'm vain. This is my oldest daughter. She got married right out of high school, and this was at her wedding. I cried. I thought I was having to go tent shopping to buy a dress. I have never been in that situation in my entire life. I don't know, that was almost more devastating than being told I had multiple sclerosis, was to realize that's where I was, and how uncomfortable that was, and how tired I was, and it was terrible. So now we've gone from that to where I am now, and we've worked through, but it was in 2002, and I was on all kinds of medicine at that point. So we can see this next picture. I couldn't stay awake. The longest period of time I don't remember was 4 days. I know they got me up to go to the bathroom, but I could not stay awake. So I was actually on medicine for narcolepsy to try to keep me awake because I couldn't do it. I was out all the time. I got lost. I had a whole list of people waiting to call me to get me home because if I could get out, but sometimes I could not remember how to get home and I would be lost. And people were waiting. And so as a matter of fact, because we had a good friend of ours was in a logging accident with Brad, and we were going to go pick up his wife. He was on his way to Harborview. So I called her Brad's like, you need to call her so she knows we're coming to get her. She thought I was calling for a ride home because that's how much people knew that this was a really big problem for me, that I had to get a ride home. So this is the point where I was. And I had been going through, and now I finally find out that my bones are actually falling apart on me. And they're going away. And it's like, I'm sitting there looking at the doctor and thinking, this is bottom line. I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm not going to sit here and just let my body fall apart. It's not going to happen. So he said, what can I do? What can I do to change this now? He said, the only thing you can do is to start to lift weights. He said, you need to do some weight-bearing exercise. That's going to help your bones. But that's about all you can do, because I was still on, I've been on medication forever. Medicine to make your bladder work right, medicine to make your muscles quit going into huge spasms, the narcolepsy medicine, the steroid medicine, my regular MS medicine, which I've been on 3 different kinds. At that point I was on Avonex, which was a once-a-week shot. You open up the kit and it comes with a Band-Aid. I'm like, oh, this is not good. Anything comes with a Band-Aid, that is not good. Yeah, that one was in the butt. Ended up, I couldn't take interferon anymore. I actually grew immune to that. Then I got switched to Copaxone. And that goes on Glatiramer, which is a whole different ballgame. So at that point, he said I could lift weights. And I said, okay, I can do that. I joined Curves because that was easy. That was all women. I could do that. But I also changed my mind right then and right there. It's like, I am not going to be sick anymore. I changed my mind. But I also realized I had to start working on my belief system to make that work. And that's what we're doing today. We're going to start working on our belief systems. I believe everybody has a story. Every single person has their own story. And I realize you guys are in this class for different reasons, but really those taking this class, every one of you will sign up because there is something out there that you want to change. There's something there that you're saying no to that you want to do different. So this is time to reflect on your own story and find out why you're here. What is it that you're saying no to at this point in your life? What is your thing that you cannot continue to do anymore? That you want to change, that you want to do different. Now that can be anything. It could be, I can't live in this relationship anymore. I won't take that. It's got to be different. It could be, I can't be at this weight anymore. That's got to be different. That was actually wrapped up in part of my no. It can be, I want to know why I get up every morning and come out. I want to have passion in my life. I want to change that. The change is very, very unique to each one of you. You will all have your own reason, but the steps to get it accomplished are always the same as you live through. You go through the same process, the same steps, and that's what the class is on. is learning those processes. So I'm going to stop the film, and if you want to discuss this right now, we can do that.